We're rolling with Audacity.
All right, cool. So Toby Babb couldn't make it, so we have Rob Grant.
The stand-in, yeah, absolutely, the second man.
Oh man.
What can I say?
Okay, well we'll just have to make do, won't we?
Yeah, sorry about that to disappoint his legions of fans, but there we go.
All right, so we are coming from the WeWork here on what street is it?
It's 5th, 47th and 5th Avenue.
All right, and you have outgrown WeWork.
We have, yeah. So we're currently in the market for our new office. We've been in this office for about a year and a half, but now it's time to, potentially venture into pastures new. It might be a bigger office in WeWork, but we certainly need to move on from where we are at the moment.
All right, right. And tell me this: you've worked for Toby for on and off.
Yeah. So I first met Toby nearly 20 years ago, and my first job was at Recruit First, which was a branch of Huxley, part of the S3, and met Toby very, very early on in my career there. Got on brilliantly, very much kindred spirits, and even though I left after about 18 months, we always kind of, kept in contact, always really wanted to work with each other again, and when he set up Harrington Starr, he actually approached me, but the timing wasn't quite right. But we kind of maintained that relationship, good friends, and my wife actually works for United Nations, so was posted to New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which was quite a nice gig. We just went out for a few beers, and I was obviously still in recruitment, and I said, look, I'm moving over to New York, and he's like, before you say anything, this is what we need to do.
Oh man.
Go launch the office for me. And I'd kind of been a very, interested bystander watching Harrington Starr grow.
Yeah.
The last kind of 5 or 6 years before I joined him, was a little bit jealous, shall we say?
Did you think you'd missed the boat, maybe?
To a degree, yeah, to a degree. I mean, it certainly wasn't the right time for me at that point, but there was always that kind of, what if?
Yeah.
And this was kind of the second bite of the cherry. So we had some very frank conversations about where I was with my current business.
Was it your own business?
I co-ran it with someone else. And I think, we had a great time. I don't think we were quite ready to move to New York, which is what we were thinking of at the time. We were thinking, what do I move over with that existing business?
Yeah.
And I don't think it would have worked.
How far did you go with that thread?
Investigating what you need to do to set up an office here, looking at tax implications, incorporation things. But as soon as I started talking to Terry, it was like, okay, hang on, this could be the second chance.
So, I run my own business now.
Yeah.
I think it would be tough for me to go work for somebody again.
Absolutely, and that was one of the foremost factors in my mind. How do I go from being the person that calls the shots to effectively reporting it to my friend?
Yeah.
But it was never going to be that. Toby and I had a good agreement that this is what we're going to do. It's a collaborative journey, and I've been incredibly fortunate that he's given me kind of carte blanche to run it the way I want to do it. But the reason that we've always stayed together and in contact is that we very much aligned in how we think recruitment should be done. So there was never going to be any massive disparity between the way we approach something.
Yeah. How long have you been out here now?
So I've been out here. So I actually joined Harrington Starr January 2015. So I've been with the company. January 2016. We launched remotely. So myself and Sarah, who set up the office with me, we basically spent the first 7 months doing 12-hour shifts from the UK, so getting into the office 10 o'clock in the morning, leaving 11 o'clock at night, trying to replicate the American hours to a degree. And then we actually moved out physically late July, early August 2016, so we've been on the ground for 2.5 years.
How did you find that first bit from doing it?
It was, it was a learning curve. I'd never done fintech. I was back hands-on for the first time in a long time, because that's what you've got to do when you're building a business, as you know. You've got to get up and you've got to make the dials, you've got to send out the emails. So it's a learning curve, coupled with the fact that you're doing 12-hour shifts right into the night. But the good part of it is that we're absolutely aiming for something. It wasn't just that we'll just do this until we see how we feel. It's like there is a marker at the end of July, we'll be going out to New York. So we knew that we were on a journey. We knew that we were actually aiming towards something all the time. I think that helped kind of focus the mind.
How long were you in the?
So 6.5, 7 months.
Were you sure it was going to work?
Yeah. Without a doubt, and I don't mean that arrogantly. Harrington Starr's got a phenomenal brand name, and we didn't just kind of put our finger in the air and go, let's try New York.
Yeah.
We did our own due diligence, and we got some quick wins. We spoke to clients who, to be quite honest, were a little bit skeptical. Someone said to me, "It's like, you've never done fintech, you haven't been hands-on for a while.
Yeah.
No one in New York. Why the hell should I use you?"
Yeah.
And that was a challenge, but bizarrely that was our first placement. We found the guy, and he's like the best CV I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that was a real kind of marker in the sand early. And then we just continued to just work hard, and there's no substitute for that. You just got to work hard. But absolutely, we never thought it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's fantastic. She came over and got into the WeWork station. How many people was it at day one?
So day one, just me. I came over to start with. Sarah was basically just 2 weeks behind, just because of flights and personal things. So to start with, we're in a different office, just a couple of blocks away from here. Just me and Sarah sat opposite each other across the desk. Yeah. And it's like, right, okay, we're here. We've done the first bit of the hard work. Now the real hard work begins in growing it out. What we didn't want to do is it be Rob and Sarah here.
Sure.
For 3 or 4 years, it was right. We want to build this, and we want to build it quickly, but sustainably as well.
What surprised you about trying to hire people?
I think we were, dare I say, a little bit naive as to what the market demanded.
Yeah.
We had in our minds a view of what we would be paying someone, and we quickly found out that was nowhere near what we would be actually ending up paying people. It's it's very candidate driven market to find good recruiters, and that obviously has an implication on the cost as well. So we quickly had to recalibrate and go, well, actually, if we think we're paying here, we need to pay there to get the right people that we wanted, because what we didn't want to do was just hire for the sake of it.
Sure.
We wanted to hire people that bought into what we were trying to do, bought into our kind of culture and our DNA, and really wanted to be part of the journey. So that took time. It took us 2 months to find people that we really liked, but that was a big kind of recalibration moment.
With regards, have you moved many people over from the UK?
No.
Have you internally?
Nope.
So all local hires? All
local hires, with one exception, who was an English guy that was already working in San Francisco, and we relocated him to New York.
Okay.
But yeah, by and large, local talent.
And we've had conversations about you moving people over. What's your understanding from a legal standpoint of what somebody needs if they're from the UK? What is their Firstly, what does their background look like if they want to get a move? And then secondly, what does that mean in terms of getting through the legal process?
If there has to be a compelling, the easiest thing for us is get an E2 visa. There has to be a compelling reason why we need to go outside of America to find someone, and that by and large boils down to experience.
Yeah.
If someone has 4 to 5 years experience and a proven track record in recruitment, and we can show to the consulate that we need them for a particular strategic hire, then it's very easy to do. That process doesn't take too long, to be honest, and it is relatively smooth sailing. But you've got to have that experience. You've got to be probably 4 or 5 years in recruitment with sustainable track record of success in order to be considered.
So you haven't moved anybody across, but you've obviously moved yourself across, and you've hired locally. Have you hired anybody locally who didn't have like a big network and had to start from scratch?
Yeah, a lot of people. I think 90% of the people that we've hired had recruitment experience, but hadn't done fintech or didn't have a network. And it's about training them how to go find that network and what the kind of idiosyncrasies of the market demands.
Yeah.
But by and large, you just have to be a good recruiter. You have to be a good recruiter, and you have to be prepared to listen. If we could find someone that had a built-in network of fintech clients, absolutely, of course, we'd want to take them. But for me, the most fundamental part is, wanting to do this job, understanding the peaks, the troughs, the good days, the bad days, but also wanting to learn and be a part of something that's growing and really kind of buying into that journey.
And say if somebody joins, New York's an expensive place, right?
Yep.
How long are we talking it takes from the point when they start to the point when you think it's realistic that they'll start making commission and start going, oh,
here we go.
I'm going to make it?
Yeah, it varies on desk. I think one of the guys that we first hired was a really, really good example. He came from, a much bigger firm. Hadn't quite... That will remain nameless.
Yeah.
Hadn't quite worked out for him. Joined us and we were still in our infancy. So it took him 3 or 4 months to kind of get into the zone, get into the vibe. He was our top biller last year,
Really?
and he tripled his salary, his earnings within 18 months with us. You're not going to do that overnight, but within 3 or 4 months, he could start to see that there was a real potential here.
When you take somebody from an American firm into a truly British recruitment firm, what type of adjustments do they have to make to their style?
I think the one thing that we keep coming up against is the split model. Your business development or your account manager, and I think that's something that's quite an American sensibility. We're by and large, everyone that comes from the UK tends to be 360. Sure. So you're responsible for bringing in the clients. You're responsible for then facilitating the jobs and getting delivery out to those people as well. So a lot of the people that we see have either done 50% of that. They're either great on the BD, but haven't really done the delivery, or they're great on the delivery, haven't really done the BD. We would probably find more people on the delivery side, so it's that transition of saying, well, actually, we really need you to go out and pitch our services, onboard new clients, be the face of your little desk, really. Yeah. Some people get intimidated by that. Some people see it as an absolute, carte blanche to go, well, now I'm finally I am the person that can, interact with a client. Yeah.
And personally, I take it you're still billing?
Hands-on to a degree. Hands-on to a degree. I still do a bit.
Okay, but you had to build the desk off again.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you have to? I suppose you did from England, but is there anything you had to adjust in your own style?
It's really interesting because I thought about this question actually. I think good recruiters are good recruiters. There aren't going to be cultural discrepancies and idiosyncrasies, but by and large, it's understanding what people's needs are. So I don't think there's something fundamentally different about the way recruitment's done in Europe, in the UK, or America. I think you just have to be a little bit sensitive to perhaps not hearing what you want to hear. If someone says, yeah, that sounds good, it doesn't always mean that. But I think a good recruiter knows to ask those secondary questions going, well, when can we talk again? What happens next? What do we need to show you in order for you to work with us? Yeah. But it's not a massive sea change in order to be successful here by any stretch of the imagination.
What excites you about the American market?
I think it's pretty much underserved at the moment when it comes to recruitment.
Which is crazy.
It's not quite untouched, but the opportunities here are phenomenal. There's probably a reason why a lot of British firms are coming over here and setting up and having quick wins. I think from us personally, we've had phenomenal success, but we've only really just begun. I don't look at it and go, everything's working perfectly and this is the best that we'll ever be. We've done well and we'll continue to do well, but we've only just begun. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what this could be. So that for me is exciting.
And as you're scratching the surface, what are you kind of uncovering within fintech that's made you go, we could triple, we could quadruple our office?
The sheer scale of the opportunity that America presents, you can break it down by vertical, which we don't. We have 3 or 4 kind of vertical desks. We have sales, we have professional services, change and transformation. But within that, there are splits still that need to be done. Then you look further afield. There's Boston, there's Chicago, there's the commodity sector, in Houston. There's the West Coast, which we do service to a degree, but we haven't really dominated yet. Yeah. The scale of opportunity to do that is just incredible. To think that we've done so well with such a small piece of the pie that there's so much more to come. And
does that mean that the next piece for you is to really get the graduate model in place?
I think we always like to have a blend. I don't think you can just solely rely on graduates. I think you need the leaders in place that know how it's done. But we do want to kind of set up a kind of training program where we can bring people in, expose them to our DNA and say, this is how we do it, this is what's worked for us, so that you've got the next generation of leaders. That's really important to us. We don't just want to ship in talent and then not worry about what comes next.
Because obviously I interview lots of people and they say our training's great, all the rest. But when I interviewed Toby, he went into the detail of it.
Yeah.
Like he almost has his own academy.
Absolutely. And the proof's in the pudding. I've probably learned more over the last 2.5 years than I've done in my previous 15 years in recruitment. How does that manifest itself on the day-to-day? Well, last year, 4 of our people who've been in recruitment over 2 years had their best ever year.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen by coincidence. That doesn't happen by accident. That is testament to our constant training, constant reevaluation of what our message is to the team, the areas that we need to improve on.
Yeah.
And we invest heavily on that. And it's not just the archetypal say this, don't say that. We bring in sports coaches. We bring in people that have worked with Barcelona. We bring in people that, we had a talk with a guy.
Bring in Dulce Doherty as well.
Yeah, exactly. Get the best rectorate you can find. We brought in a guy that worked for Experian that managed to increase their business by 150%. So, we know recruitment, we know what we're doing, but what we're trying to do is assimilate best practice from every industry, whether it's media, whether it's business, whether it's sport, whether it's medicine. A good idea is a good idea, and that's what I love about this company, that we just keep getting better and we keep trying to get better and trying new things.
And we all learn from our own mistakes.
Yeah.
Let me take you back. If you could start it again from day one, what would you do differently?
I think.
What would you do sooner even?
I think probably soon is the key word here. I think if we could have got out here sooner, we would have done. 6 or 7 months working remotely is tough. I make no bones about it. And I think that's the one thing I would change. There are little things in the journey that you go on and go, I could have done that a bit better. But I think a lot of that, gives you the experience to move on. So there's nothing I really regret. I mean, we perhaps chose poor, suppliers on certain things and maybe made a couple of hires that, didn't work out. But that's part of growing up. That's part of the business. But I think the one thing would be if we can get out here sooner, we should have done.
Oh, okay. And let me put you in the position of a younger man.
I wish.
Yeah, me too. So you're 25, 27. You've got a few years' experience in recruitment. You're in the UK. You're choosing between different recruitment firms.
Yep.
What type of things should you be asking yourself if you're that guy with all the choices, or that girl?
Yeah. It's a really interesting question. I think it's very easy to get to New York and see a company is just facilitating your journey. I think what I'd be very conscious of if I was that age now is like, where do I see myself going? Is this just about a move to New York, or is this about a career? If it's just about a move, go join one of the bigger companies, fine, they'll sort you out. But if you really want to be part of something and really want to advance your career and be part of something special, then I think a company like ours can really help you facilitate that. The part of the driving force for us is that we look at those guys that started S3, and I think there's 4 or 5 of them in a room. Yeah. And now they're this, phenomenal business that operates worldwide. That's what we're offering. You can be part of that journey. Whilst we're established in the UK, we've been going, 8 or 9 years. We've only just begun the US journey. Yeah. And I think for me, as a younger man, that would be a really compelling narrative. Come over, be part of something. Yeah. Everyone that joins us now kind of impacts on our culture, because we're 10 people strong, but we're growing. Yeah. So you're not just one of 9,000. You're 10% of the company already. Yeah. And you get to kind of create where we go. Yeah. We get guys into the meetings that say things and come up with ideas that I hadn't even thought of. We're like, that's a great idea. Well, let's do that. And I think if you want to be part of that, then absolutely, this is the company for you. But if you just want to get to New York and be another number, there are plenty of companies that will do that, and more power to you. But that's not what we're about.
Let me take you back to that room in S3.
Yep.
Harrington Starr, Oliver James, Faden, probably the Frank Group.
Yeah.
We could go on. How did all those companies evolve from that one room?
The training you get at S3 is phenomenal. Recruitment, you can call it a science, you can call it an art. I think there's a bit of both. I think you understand how to be successful in recruitment when you work at the S3 group. You know, it's a place that you sink or swim.
Yeah.
You've got to learn that. And I think people that go on to build these companies outside of that model, they'll take so much of that S3 mentality with them, but they'll sprinkle it with their own little bit of culture, their own kind of, sensibilities. But the actual day-to-day of how you do recruitment, I don't think there's a better training ground. Or there certainly wasn't a better training ground in my day.
Yeah, well, back then, hey?
Yeah, exactly. Now you can get that with us, obviously.
Yeah, very, very, very good. So just a couple of questions to finish up on New York.
Yeah.
Recently had a kid.
Yes.
How are you surviving?
On very little sleep, but surviving. Wouldn't have it any other way.
2 kids under 2, feel your pain. Living in my wife's little village in the south of England, so come
over to New York.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So your wife is a proper grown-up job.
Yes, she does.
So where are you guys living in New York? What's it like?
So we live on the Upper East Side. Very lucky we live near the park.
Wow.
The Central Park is closer to me than my subway. My tube stop used to be back home, which is just incredible. We're so lucky.
Yeah,
and we're very aware of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're really getting you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah. It's been fantastic, and I absolutely love the city. Obviously, it's not without its frustrations, like every city is.
Talk to me about that. So one thing that you love about the city more than anything?
I know it's a cliche, but just there's the buzz, there's the vibe. You're in New York, we've probably all grown up watching the movies, and you're here, you're in it, you're watching it, and there was so much opportunity here, and that, as cynical as you get and as jaded as you get growing, that never leaves in this place. I genuinely believe that every day is like, this is great. I'm in New York. I'm working in New York. Yeah. And I'm sure people feel that about London when they come over. But for me, a Brit that's grown up watching this on the movies, this is.
I never hear people talk about London the way people talk about New York.
Maybe.
Okay, frustrations.
Yeah, Subway is dreadful. It's people absolutely lose their rag if they have to wait more than 2 minutes for a train in London. This is 10, 12, 15 minutes in between trains. I mean, that's very much a first world problem, but they need to sort that out.
Anything that anybody needs to adjust in their style, do you think, to be successful, or is there anything like that?
No, I really don't.
Words of wisdom?
No, I really don't think there is. I think it's just the case that if you're good enough, you'll be successful. Right. It's not rocket science what we do, but you've got to be good at it. You've got to be committed to it. You've got to understand what it is that works in the UK is probably going to work in the US as well. It's about understanding people's needs and delivering to that. Both client and candidate. That's all it is. That's all recruitment ever is.
Not rocket science, eh?
It's not. No.
That's grand.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?